Good. Hi, great people. Welcome to the Well Show, the open discussion, the open talk that we usually have it the last Thursday of the month. It's amazing to welcome you to this show. It's my honor and my joy to always have you. We always appreciate the time that you take um, to log in to be part of us, and we never take it for granted. So, we want to welcome you and to request you. Let us know where you're watching us from. Let us know how the video is. Let us know how the sound is, and we'll appreciate your feedback, your comment, and anything and any input that you're giving us to make this show better. So it's my joy and my desire to welcome you. Feel comfortable where you are. I hope you have a pen, you have a piece of paper, because tonight will be amazing, to be interesting. It will be great even as we talk about our personality. So thank you so much. Thank you for those who have already joined. I appreciate you. I'll request you, if you can, kindly share this link in your page. Make sure that even others can be able to follow from your link, from your page, and we'll appreciate. So kindly make sure you are able to share. You are able to put it on your status, and it will make us proud even as we reach a number of your friends with this wisdom that God have given us, and this chance that God have given us to come here and share and see how we can build one another. So without much ado, because I know from my director the sound is okay, the video is okay, so we can be able to get direct into our discussion tonight, so that we are able to cover the much that we can. Great. Thank you. Thank you. I also want to appreciate those people who are watching us from my YouTube channel. Make sure that you leave a comment there. Make sure that you're able to tell us how you're getting us from the YouTube, and we'll appreciate that effort that you are showing us. Great. I'll get direct into the discussion. Thank you, Charles Maina, for coming in. Thank you, Jackie Nongari. That's our new member. Thank you, Jackie. God bless you. Mushiri Kareithi, thank you for coming in. The rest who are watching there, great. Now, I want to discuss about personality traits, or people will call it temperament. And the reason why I felt within me to discuss this is because we have done quite a number of months of our shows, and we are also coming to the end of the year where we'll be able to do a tech talk of what we have done as an individual, and also see how well we can be able to plan our next year. And I felt, without that place of knowing ourselves and knowing the things that we can do, with at ease, the things we can do without struggles, the things that we are gifted in, and how well we can be able to deal with our weaknesses. And that's what we'll be doing. I am going to dedicate this show and next week's show on discussing the four temperament, so that you'll be able to evaluate yourself, you'll be able to put yourself through a test, and you'll see where you are, where you belong, see what are your strengths, how you can use your strength to build yourself, how you can be able to tackle and attack your weaknesses, so that you don't drag so much in the area of weakness and you fail to progress in life. So understanding yourself is one of the greatest a gift you can give yourself. The journey to discovery, the journey to self-discovery, the journey of knowing who you are, the journey of knowing your gift, the journey of knowing your talent. It is not an event. And I always say this, that moment that you'll feel you have reached at the point, probably you have gotten to a stagnation in terms of personal growth, then you'll know you have started declining in terms of your thinking capacity. So keep building yourself, keep thinking how you can improve yourself, keep learning new areas of yourself. I always say this: you're the best person who can read your own book and get excited. And then how you can do this is keep discovering who you are, keep seeing different dimensions of how you can react to different things, and that will help. And that is the basis of us coming here to discuss us personality and how personality can shape us. When you know yourself, when you know you are a choleric, a sanguine, a phlegmatic, or melancholy, then you're able to know the things that you can be able to do, some of the business you can put yourself into and don't struggle. I find some people having good business ideas, but they cannot sustain those business ideas because of their personality. So we need to understand how our personality comes along in terms of sustaining our business, sustaining our career, sustaining our personality, sustaining our families, and all these factors. You'll find there are people who get into a given venture, and within a year or two, they're able to propel to greater heights. Why? Because their personality is working for their own advantage. And there are people who go to different areas and they will say, this is not my area, because they feel that their personality cannot sustain that kind of a career. And that is the whole nugget of wanting to understand our personality and our temperament. So you cannot assume today's show and next week's show, because it will totally help you to invest in the right areas and also to be able to unlock that potential and that gifting that is in you. Said and done, I want to see when we talk about personality traits, because I have been into so many trainings and so many classes, and I would say this is one of the areas that I love. I can talk about personality for a whole year because I know what it means and I'm passionate about it. When you talk about personality, when you talk about traits, what are we talking about? This is how we are wired to react, act, and also be able to react in terms of any situation that you're in. How could you act faced with a different scenario? Then how could you react, probably finding yourself in a certain situation, and how you interact with other people. So in other words, he's saying number one is act, react, and interact. Now this is what you need to understand. Act, it is when you are faced. React, it is when you're in. Then react, when we talk about interactions, it's when now you are with other people. How do you react, in terms of when you find yourself in a certain situation? How could you respond in a simpler manner? How could you be able to, interact with different people of different personality? So the reason why we understand personality and why we should be able to walk this journey of discovering a temperament is we know how do we going to adjust the way we react to things. How do we act to situations? How do we is our the way we our action make us better people or build us better, or it is really pushing us down? So we need to know how do we, and you need to see, for example, let me ask, when you don't have money, that a situation, how do you react to that situation? How do you respond to it? Number two, how do you interact with people at that particular situation that you are in? You find people who probably they're going through something and they cut off from people. That's a personality. So we need to see the reason why we need to study our personality is so that we can be able to change those three dimensions and pillars of personality: act, react, and interact. They are very important dimensions of looking at our personality. And tonight we are going to look at two personality, and I want to start with choleric, and I'll say where I've started with cholerics. And when you get to read these words, they are not English words. So don't struggle to get them in an English manner, because they are Greek words, because the psychologists who sat down and tried to understand these, and also that Greeks were great scholars. So the founders who came with these, they're Greeks, so they try to con this name from where they came from. But they really affect us. So when we talk about a choleric personality, what are we talking about? Who are these kind of people? How can we know them? How can you know that you're a choleric? And the best way to look at a choleric is looking, number one, their strength, number two, their weakness, and then number three, how they react to different scenarios. So we're going to give different scenarios, and then you'll be able to see now that is a choleric, and you will be able to find in the whole world, these people that are out there, and looking at them, then you'll be able to know whether you're a sanguine, whether you're choleric, whether you're phlegmatic. Now, a choleric, number one, they're extrovert. Now, that means they're talkative. Now, there's a difference between a sanguine who is talkative and a choleric who is talkative. Now, this is a difference. When we talk about a choleric who the personality is talkative, the trait is talkative, one of the characteristics, they're talkative. In other words, they're extroverted, they're out there, they talk a lot. But the difference is the sanguines, they are discussion, they are storytellers, rounds around fun, fun, excitement, that the stories, that's how they go about. But when you talk about the discussion around a choleric, they'll talk a lot, but they won't talk about goals, achievement, projects. Those are the things that they put their energy and their words toward. So when we have a group of people and we want to see a choleric will talk about the project, how we are going to start a business, how we are going to implement that business. But a sanguine will talk on how we can go for hiking, how we can have a party, how we can have a bridal shower. So that is a difference. So, and because I don't want to mix you, let me put the sanguine aside and now take this journey of a choleric. Now we have said the choleric, they're extroverted. Now they're outspoken, they're out there. They talk a lot, they engage in discussion, they thrive and propels in public. They're the people that, they don't want to sit behind. They want to sit in front. They want to make sure that within any meeting they have contributed and they have given their mind, they have given their idea. So a choleric will never keep quiet. They're always out there talking. Now I'll give 5 or 6 strength, and then I'll also give some few weakness so that we can be able to mark and see. Now a choleric personality, they're independent, they're strong-willed, and they're self-motivated. Now what do we mean by they're independent? They're people who they don't have to consult other minds to probably get certainty of what they want to do. They believe they want to do this, they don't have to consult. They're independent in their thinking. In other words, someone said, which I don't know whether it was a good comment. He said that choleric, they have a sense of self-sufficient. They think and they feel they can do all by themselves, and they can do all by themselves. So they're that kind of independency. They feel they're gifted, they're good to go, so they don't need other people. So when you're working with a choleric mind, they don't expect to be consulted most of the time. Actually, for them, consultation in terms of an idea, they feel it a weakness. They feel embarrassed. So they would want to show that independency. So they want to show they can stand, they can do on their own. And also remember, why this is because they're ambitious. They are go-getter. They decide they want things, they'll go for it full throat. They don't give up. Actually, in their minds, they don't have, in their dictionary, in their vocabulary, very few times you'll hear a choleric giving up. They will do anything until they get what they want, because their satisfaction, their joy, their excitement comes with achievements. Actually, what propels cholerics to move on in life, it's achievement. So a choleric will never live in a situation where there is no achievement. A choleric will not do any business when there is no, there is no progress. They will shift. They will move because they are propelled by results. So when they're independent, they want to make sure they're getting the best. And most of the time you'll find cholerics will move from one place to another, looking to a place where they'll be comfortable to get the result. If there is no result, then they will not be part of that relationship. So even if you get this man and you're dating, whether you're doing business in partnership, when we have a choleric, the discussion will start when they have started seeing results. So they'll be out there, they'll push, they will invest, they'll propel it in energy to get result. So when you're working with the choleric, understand number one, they have said they are independent. Number two, they are self-motivated. They don't wait for someone to motivate them. They don't wait for people to tell them you can do it. By the time you're telling them you're telling them you can do it, they're already in it. So, but most of the time you'll find it's not worth motivating a choleric, because they're self-motivated, they are self-encourager, they can encourage themselves, they can start saying anything as long as they get result. So when you have a choleric, they will not suffer self in, what we would call inferiority complex. Cholerics don't. Cholerics, they know what they want, they know how to get it, they have a clear mind of where they're going, where they're coming from, and they can go about it. And another strength about them, they are born natural. They're natural leader. They don't struggle leading. They don't acquire skills. Their skills are already, they're inbuilt, they're inborn. They're visionary, they're good planner, they're good problem solver. That's a whole thing. And you'll find in a meeting most of the time, cholerics will emerge being the chairman, becoming, the boss, becoming the CEO, because they have that strong personality that, can be able to pull people. They have the charisma that can pull people. This is a man who can be able to pull people. And because cholerics are easily in terms of coming up with a vision, so they can be able to lead people very easily. They can be able to communicate very easily because they don't fear the public. They don't fear. Actually, they thrive. Would say they are motivated by mob. They love the mob psychology. That's a whole thing that they push them. So that's a choleric. So when in a midst of 10 people, you'll find a choleric does not struggle leading people. Doesn't struggle. He do it easily. Now, the problem will always come when we have a choleric who is not leading, and we have another, like a melancholy who is the leader, and then we have a choleric who is a member. There will always be conflict. Why? Because Melan he calculate moves. No hurry in Africa. Don't talk a lot. You think a lot. Then you communicate less. Then when a choleric is a member in that, will always be a troublesome, will always be war. And sometimes I have always said this: if you're a leader, because we always talk about leadership segment, if you're a leader and you're listening to me, and among yourself you realize you have a choleric, please tap on their gifting, give them special assignment, give them hard assignment, distract them by giving them hard nuts to crack. That will help them to tap and and contain them, and probably make sure that they're within. I find a lot of leaders not able to deal with cholerics. Why? Because you want choleric to sit down and watch things. Cholerics will never sit down for a year and you have not done anything. It will be war, it will be messy, it will be chaotic. So what you do as a leader, and you have a choleric here, you're able to tap at their strength, at their mind, give them a heavy task, tell them do 1, 2, 3, and probably have given you 3 months. By those 3 months, as a leader, you have pushed your people. By the time the choleric is bringing a feedback, it becomes easier. Sometimes in a group, when you are, you have members and you have a choleric and you have given an assignment, they'll be the first one to do. And sometimes a choleric will make you feel intimidated. You're like, probably like you don't think, right? Because they'll do it very fast. And they're thinkers, so they'll be able to come up with brilliant ideas. They will start it. You're giving them deadlines. 3 weeks before the deadline, they're submitting the assignment, and you're wondering, where am I? So sometimes in the midst of a choleric, you might feel inferior in a way, and that always tell people, when you know what you have, you don't concentrate so much on your weakness, you start building on your strength. So that's a choleric, a natural leader, gifted in terms of vision, in terms of time managers. They're good time managers. They don't struggle. And why? Because they set things, so they have to be done within certain premises of time. So that is the choleric and their strength. And as I said, when you're working with a choleric, you'll always know they're workaholic. They're always out there working. They're always out there. They have no time to relax. Anytime they relax is that moment they're doing celebration for results. So when there is no celebration for results, then it becomes hard for you to keep up with a choleric. Now, what are the weaknesses of a choleric? Now, number one about choleric, we have said, now because they're independent, they're courageous, they're strong-willed, they're good leaders, then, in terms of planning, they're good planner, they're good problem solvers. So you'll find most of the time, people will always run to a choleric to get a solution. Because they think fast, or they're able to come to manufacture ideas, to manufacture solutions. So it becomes easier for them attracting people. Now, once they attract people, what will happen is, because they have attracted people, they have shared great vision, they have shared great plans, they have shared where they want. And another thing is, because they're good orators, they don't miss their words. They already know their words, and sometimes they're a bit crafty. So what happened is, one of their weakness, a choleric wants to become a bossy and a controller. He wants to control everybody. He wants to make sure that everybody is below them. Everybody have to sing their song. They have to sing their stanza. They have to sing with their note. Everything has to surround, have to surround and rotate around them. So in the midst of having a choleric, would want to dictate how things should happen, because they are bossy and they're controller. They are people who everything has to, it's their color, it's their way. That's how they know. So in the midst of the time when you're working with a choleric, be ready to be controlled. Sometimes that's how they thrive. They thrive by making sure, actually, because cholerics, they're defined by power. They want to be in the place of power. And why people thrive and get power is because they want to control. So choleric, that because they're natural leader, they take leadership position, then automatically they feel, because they are the chairman, should control everything. Because they are the CEOs, because they are the reverends, they should control everything. So they have a nugget, they have a character of controlling everybody. So if you're working with the choleric, then you need to fight along your space, because you have to be controlled now and then. Number two about them, they're very crafty. Now, when we talk about craftiness, these are people who are wise, and they're using their wisdom in a manipulative manner. So in other words, they know how to manipulate people. They know how to manipulate system, because they are crafty, and they do it in a friendly manner. They, as I said, they don't miss their words. So they are very easy, to convince you to sing their song, to support their idea. There is a way you'll feel like you are, you're being carried away. There is a way they will take the meeting, and everybody will go by their idea. They're kind of crafty. So working with the choleric to stand on your feet, it will take a lot of grace. It will take knowing yourself, because most of the time you'll find you lose yourself along the way when you're working with the choleric, because they want to lose yourself so that they have a better ground of controlling you, a better ground of being a bossy on you, and the whole thing rotates about them. So they are very crafty. They manipulative in the manner. They want to control. They want to take advantage of you. That's a choleric. That's a choleric for you. The other weakness about them, they're hot-tempered. They get angry very fast. They snap very fast. So when you're working with a choleric, you need to understand what are the areas that you don't need to cross, because they don't know how to handle their emotions. They don't know how to handle their temper. They're hot-tempered in another way. And most of the time when they feel they didn't achieve what they wanted, when they feel whatever they wanted, didn't measure, then that is a reason to make them angry. That's a reason to make them to become hot-tempered. So when you're working with a choleric, you need to know their bad days and their good days. Those are the bad days, they don't want to engage in any discussion, because at that particular moment, they're on their drawing board. They're at factory setting, and they're trying to find, how can I manufacture myself and bounce back to make myself better? So you need to understand how to deal with choleric, so that you don't keep arguing. And you also need to understand one of the weakness about them. They most of the time they have a problem admitting their their weakness and their mistake. They have a problem accepting they have done wrong. So what they will do, they will argue along the whole thing, and at the end of the day, it will bounce back to you. To them, they don't make mistake. Those are cholerics. They have to define and redefine answers so that they fit them. So when you're working with the choleric, you also need to understand, how do you pin them down in the right manner, and understand at the end of the day, if you pin them down, and tomorrow you'll come, because you'll come to them asking for a favor or asking for an idea, they'll make sure you'll pay 100-fold of what you did yesterday for them. So dealing with them becomes a bit technical, and require a lot of wisdom. So that at the end of the day, how do you communicate to them, and also not fixing them and not fixing yourself. That's a choleric for you. How I'm clear. Now, if you have a choleric personality, what careers can they pursue? What careers can I pursue? If you have a choleric kid at home, what career can they pursue? Number one, they make very good managers. So in area where there is managerial position, they will do it very well. Why? Because managerial careers require someone who can communicate, someone who can show the way, someone who understands how system run. So a choleric will fit very well in such positions. So you have your kid, and this is the kind of personality you're seeing, they're showing. Try now to think along those areas so that they have a personality that can sustain that career, and they have a career that they will sustain their personality and they will enjoy doing it. I've find people who go into a certain career and the career, kill who they were and they become totally different people. And when they shift from that career, they cannot sustain themselves. So it's good to understand, get into a career that, allows your personality to grow as you're also doing the best in that career through your personality. So they do very well in managerial careers. Number two, they will do a lot well in the areas of engineering. Why? Because it is a hard nut to crack. Engineering is not an easy course. So when you have choleric, because they are thinkers, they want to follow one course, they will do that mathematics from one page to the other, and they don't give up because they they're motivated by result. So you'll find cholerics, they want those hard nut careers. Becoming a good engineer. So you have a kid and you look at their personality and their tough personality, push them to engineering. I'm telling you, they'll do it and they'll succeed. And because number one, they don't love to lose, they will do everything to become the best engineer in their calling, in the area, in their career. They will want to make sure. Actually, cholerics always thrive by being number one. They believe in their moment. They have to be number one. So in other words, they have to work so hard and work so smart to be number one. Number three, another career they can, choleric can do, it's law. They'll do law very well. They'll be able to argue their case. And remember, because we said choleric don't lose easily. So they'll study over the night to go and defend their case tomorrow. And they'll do exceedingly well. So if you have a kid who have this strong personality, strong demeanor, push them to a law career. They will do amazingly job there because they will do anything. They will study. They'll go to those case study. They would want to see which case was won where, how was it done, which judge did what. They will be able even to cram words to quote what that judge said because they don't want to lose, because they're defined by results. Before I got to the next personality, because today we are dealing with two, let me check what you are saying here. I'm very sure. Thank you, Caro Mombi, for coming in. Nyokabi, thank you. Thank you, Reverend Maureen, for coming in. God bless you. Thank you for watching. This is interesting. Yes, make sure that you're dropping your comment there. Mercy Wamboye, I know Mercy Wamboye must be taking good notes. Understanding our personality improves our relationship. Very key. Yes, and thank you, James Kamau. James Kamau, thank you so much. That's our new member today. I thank God because of what's happening. Every day we have a new member joining us, and those who are watching us through the YouTube, thank you so much. Kindly make sure that you're sharing this link into your page so that we are able to move on very well. Now, I've given their weakness, their strength. I've given you samples of careers that these people can do very well. Let me give you an example. In the Bible, a personality in the Bible that had this trait of a personality. Paul in the Bible was a choleric. Look at Paul. This man he was not a disciple of Jesus Christ, but he did amazing, and he had this driving energy in him to preach from Corinth, from Romans, Philippians. Look at this man. He was motivated by moving out there, doing meetings and making sure that he converts Christians, and that's what his motivation. So when you look at Paul, you'll be able to feel. Look even at the tone. If you read at his letters, you'll feel the tone of this man, a commanding tone, a controlling tone. He was in a way that whatever he was communicating, it's like he was releasing a command. He was releasing he was not giving people option that you should do A or B. It is simple. This is how things should be done, and nothing else, nothing less, nothing more. And that was Paul, and that's how he did. And that gave him, an upper hand in terms of making an impact in terms of how he did ministry. Let me put to rest to the cholerics, and then I get into the phlegmatic. And I say why I choose these two personality. A phlegmatic personality. Now, a phlegmatic personality is an introvert. Actually, in a very simpler manner, a phlegmatic is the direct opposite of a choleric. They are introverted. They don't talk a lot. They talk when it's necessary. They talk when it's necessary. They'll never give you too much of information, or they'll never give you, less of information. They'll give you what is required. Choleric will supply a lot of information, some which is unnecessary, but phlegmatic will calculate their move. Actually, for choleric, I define them with 3C. They are cool, calm, and collected. They are cool. They'll get into a meeting. You'll do a lot of discussion. They're not talking. They are watching. They're nodding their heads. But that moment they'll open their mouth, then the meeting will end there. Why? Because out of the four personalities or the four temperaments, the choleric, the phlegmatic have these kind of, actually we call them the watchers, because the cholerics are doers, the phlegmatic are watchers, the melan are thinkers, and the sanguines are talkers. So the phlegmatic, they are thinker. In other words, they are they are watchers. They will analyze the whole meeting. They'll see where the gaps are. They'll be able to point, if you do this is what will happen. So most of the time when dealing with a phlegmatica, they're slow but they are sure. That is very important. They are slow but they are sure. So what they will do, they're not going to talk a lot. They're not in a hurry to finish the meeting, but they want to make sure that moment they'll open their mouth. They are going to give substantial wisdom that the meeting can be able to be shifted towards that dimension. So I always say this, that when working with phlegmatic, one, don't expect a lot of excitement. They're not excited. They're very analytical. They want to listen fast because they're good listeners. They will listen. A whole month they will listen. 2 months they will listen. They're good listener. They're not in a hurry to talk. You talk as much as you want. You talk as much as, and you give the story as much you want. They're analyzing each and every sentence you're saying. So because of that, they become very analytical. And when you have an analytical person, that means the essence of, or rather, the gaps of making mistakes are less, because they will think well before they take a move. That's why they say they are slow but sure. So they are able to calculate each and every move that they're having. So phlegmatic personality are not in a hurry. They're not in a hurry. Actually, I think they're the one who came with this thing that no hurry in Africa. They take their time. They are slow, but they are sure. So we have said their strength, they're very cool, calm, and collected. They are not everywhere. They are not everywhere. They are very specific on what they want. They know what they want, how they want it done, and when they want it done. They are simple. They know how things should be done for them. I've said they are good listeners. They are the people who not cut you short. They are different. Their personality we're going to look at next week. And you cannot give a sentence before they interject. But when it comes to phlegmatic, they are good listener. They will listen 30 minutes. Nodding their head, probably encouraging you, talk more, I want to hear more, how did it happen? That's how they are. They're not in a hurry to talk. Their time will come. So they're good listener. Their patience is too high. They can wait. Promise them something. They're not in a hurry. They will wait. Patience in them. They can do one thing for 10 years there and not giving up. They don't get bored. They will follow it. Pole. They will do it. Patience. They will stand with a vision for 20 years. Even if it's not yielding anything, they will be there. So patience is the character that defines them. You put them with a phlegmatic and a choleric, give them a scenario where they need to wait for 20 years. I'm telling you, you'll find a choleric have gone 4 or 5 times of where the phlegmatic she or he is, because they are patient. They have that fruit of patience. They will wait. They want to see what will happen tomorrow. And because of this, you'll find another one weakness about them. They're very indecisive and fear to change because of the patience that they have. Now, Their patience will keep them there. They want to see how things will happen, how to maneuver everything. Then another strength about them is they're very accommodative. They are very accommodative. Actually, this is one of the personality. They can cut across. They can associate very well with a colleague in a phlegmatic. They can also move along very well with with a sanguine, a melan. A freg is able to jangle along the three personality. They're very accommodative. They don't get angry easily. They know how to protect their space without hurting you. So they're very accommodative, very accommodative. They can accommodate people for so long, and you're like, how do you survive with so and so? For them, they don't have a problem. They know how to accommodate people without letting them get into their space, and they don't get irritated very fast. So because of their patience, they're able to accommodate people well. Then because of their accommodation, they're kind of friendly in a manner. So that helps them to flow along with people. It makes them feel, people feel so and so is easier to go with. And number two, when you call them, when you want to cause drama, phlegmatic, they don't know what is drama. So they let you cause all the drama. Once you are done, settle down, then we can move along. And that are phlegmatic. So they are very accommodative, very accommodative. But the other strength about them, they are very royal. They can stand with you during thick and thin. They're very royal. If they commit themselves to this relationship, they'll do it. It doesn't matter how it is. They're very loyal to it. They will push it. They will give everything to it. And they don't give up. They don't give up. Actually, to them, because one, they're not defined so much with these results. So they can hold on something and there is no result, but they're still there. And because of their loyalty, they will still be there. So sometimes when you have a phlegmatic, you need to tell them there is a moment when you to say, let it go. You'll die here. So when you also have this personality, you need now how to help them. They maneuver along because they can stand in one business 10 years. And this business, it died 5 years ago. They only have 1 kg of sugar and they're still holding that this one is going to multiply. There is no miracle that will happen with 1 kg of sugar. But they are not embarrassed to open a shop with 1 kg of sugar because they can hold on to one thing. Even if other is not making sense, to them they will still have a sense of seeing how they can be able to thrive in it. But because they're human beings, they have weakness. And I've said one of the greatest weakness about a phlegmatic is fear to change. They love status quo. There are people who came to Nairobi, they went to Eastlands, to one flat, and they have been there for 10, 20 years. They can't move. They don't have the energy. Moving from one lord to another. How do you... They know one place. This is the one, staff who have been in one department for 15 years. They don't change. They're like, how do you shift? How do you move this easily? How do you get in easily? Before they settle, it will take time. So because of this, they have a bigger fear with change. They don't have to change. They'll do one job for the rest of their life. They'll do one kind of, design for one kind of life. They have a challenge with fear. So if you have a phlegmatic, a friend, you need to keep them and talk the importance of change, because change is constant in life and you cannot fear it. And the better place is when you change, because you learn the way of doing things. And because of this, because they fear to change, then they're very boring. Actually, I always say this. When a Koreli could make a joke this today, you're going to laugh next year the same time. That was a joke. They're very dry. Someone was saying there was a great leader in America, and in the midst of his speech, people could sleep because he's not exciting. You don't expect a phlegmatic to be exciting in terms of they're dry. They don't have a sense of humor. They will call one as one, and as simple as that. And then they move from 1 to 2, as simple as that. So because of their fear to change, because they don't want to learn much, then they know one thing for so long. And when you know one thing for so long, then probably the excitement is not there. Excitement comes when you get to learn different things, different places, different way of doing things. So they are boring in a way. So if you have a partner who is a phlegmatic, don't expect a lot of jokes. Don't expect a lot of laughter. It is dry. If you have a leader who is a phlegmatic, don't expect a lot of team buildings. Don't expect a lot of, going out there. It is 1 year and they're like, why should we go to another hotel to have tea when we can do our tea here and enjoy? That's how they think. Why should we go out there for a dinner and we can have our lunch, our dinner here, prepare it well, eat without making a lot of noise. It's like that's how their argument is. So them change. Then another weakness is they're a bit detached. They're a bit detached. In other words, when you have a phlegmatic friend, them sustaining friendship is a bit hard. They don't know to keep communicating. So what happens is if you don't keep checking on them, then they will find they have detached themselves. They are distant. And the same thing even a sibling setup. You'll find there is one sister who probably a whole year they don't call. They don't call. You have to keep calling them. You have to ask them, how are you doing? And not because they have any problem. Within them, they don't have energy to keep calling, to keep texting. They don't have to start a conversation. And phlegmatic, that's how they are. So if you have a phlegmatic leader, most of the time, they might end up losing their followers along the way because they don't know how to keep looking, checking on their followers. They don't know how to keep checking on how things are. If it's a parent, it's like, what you're supposed to do it. So they're a bit detached in a way. They feel a distance away, and because most of the time they love their space, so this makes them not to keep getting so much into other people's business, and that becomes a big weakness because we can lose them along the way. So that is the whole thing about phlegmatic. And the last one, and not the least, phlegmatics are very stubborn. They're very stubborn. They're stubborn of this, they're stubborn of that. You bring this, they'll say they didn't want this, they wanted that. They're kind of stubborn. So when you don't understand how to deal with phlegmatic, you can get angry very easily. You can give up on them. They're stubborn in a way. Today they're up, tomorrow they are down. Another day they're excited, another day they're not excited. Another day they're pushing themselves, another day they're not pushing themselves. They're kind of stubborn in a way. You might not understand them so even as you lead them, you'll sometimes require to give them space, then them throw tantrums, become dramatic in a way, and then you move with them. So they can become stubborn if you don't learn how to deal with them. And because of this, most of the time you'll find they become a bit self-centered. You'll find like it's about them, and that's why they become stubborn because they won't fight for their space. So when you have a phlegmatic, a friend, a family member, you need to know how, a partner, you need to know how to deal with it because they can become stubborn along the way. And finally, these people called phlegmatic decision making always sometimes become a challenge. They're not good decision makers. They're not fast decision makers. So sometimes they will feel, I can't do it tomorrow. Why not wait? So them with now and now, it's the people, when you give a deadline on 30th, they will do it on 29th evening. And on that, they're trying to, to rush and beat the deadline. That's how they are. Indecisiveness. They're the people on Sunday morning, before they decide what to wear, it is 2 hours gone. Before they know what to cook in the kitchen, another 1 hour is gone. So they have an issue with making decision. They need to be assisted in making decision. Now, what careers can this personality do? Number one, they can do very good as counselors and psychiatric. What we'll call psychologists and psychiatric. Why? Because these are the careers that require a lot of listening, a lot of loyalty, a lot of patience. Someone coming for a whole 45 session to talk and you're listening. So they do very well with the listen. They have no problem. So they'll do very good psychiatric. They'll do very good psychologist. Good one. They'll be able to listen. They're good, nurses in terms of patience, accommodative, they will do it easily. They have no problem when it comes to that. They are good in their teaching profession. They are very good in terms of listening. Working with a kid a whole time, repeating the same things for them to understand. So they'll do very good in those kind of careers where they need a lot of listening, a lot of royalty, a lot of they will do it very well. The issues where it requires to be banker tellers, they will do it very well. They will serve you. You are mad there for queuing for a whole hour. You can't make noise to them. They know how to control themselves. So they do very well in those careers where probably they will require a lot of listening. A lot of listening is required into them. And you'll find thriving very well and doing it very well there. Then who are these kinds of personality in the Bible? And Abraham, the father of faith, was a very good phlegmatic. Why? Look at the scenario where they're having a discussion with Lot. And Lot, being a junior, decided what to happen. And Abraham was okay. You want to go this way? Please go. Because to him, fight is not in him. Pushing things is not in him. It's okay. That's what you wanted. Have it. Look at another scenario. Sarah come and tell Abraham, you know what, my husband, this lady called Hagar, you can have a son with her. Then fine, no problem. Kidogo, Sarah come and say, you need to send Ishmael and the mother away. And he's not even saying, this is my son. He's still there. Look at this man. Look at Abraham in Genesis 22. And this is a very a debatable scenario. You have only one son. And then God sent his, his angels and come and tell you that tomorrow, at a time, you need to go and offer, a sacrifice to God. And you need to offer your son as a sacrifice. And he's not even fighting. He's not even negotiating. He's not even telling God, I don't have another one. And the other one that was there was sent away. He's like, it's okay. It's tomorrow. Very good. Wake up in the morning. Prepare. Looking at this is not a place where you'd find, someone like Moses would, move after having a conversation and a fellowship with God and come and find Israelites messed up and he threw the Ten Commandments. You can see the different personalities here. He was able to handle his temper. They go and offer, okay, no problem, I'll do it. So you can see this scenario, someone who doesn't know how to fight. And that is typically a phlegmatic. If you have a phlegmatic, they might be taken advantage by a lot of friends. Come borrow 10,000 and give 10,000. It's okay. Someone comes and tells you, let's try to invest in this kind of business. It's a good online business. Doing a kunywa maji. And at the end of the day, they keep trying, and most of the time, because they don't make up their own decision and say, I need to question why me, why now, and probably why not somebody else. So that is a whole scenario about a phlegmatic. If you look at Moses, if you look at Abraham and you try to see how this kind of a personality comes out there, you'll understand very well about a phlegmatic. Hope I'm clear tonight. Thank you. I want to see your comments even as I... Very good. Can one have a combination of all these personality? Kidogo of each? Yes, I'm coming into there even as I conclude. Thank you, Simon. Thank you so much. I always honor him as my father. Thank you. Wow. Karibu in present. Karibu sana. Then thank you, Reverend Winnie. Thank you so much. Following. Thank you for this wisdom. Now, is it possible for you to have the 4 personality? I want to say yes. Now, look at your fingers. You have 4 fingers. The CBC, they will call it the father finger. So put it aside. Let's have the 4. My daughter usually tells me this is a sister finger. Then he says sister finger. Then there's sister finger, brother finger. Sister finger, brother finger, then another sister, and then the mother and the father. Now, the 4 If you have the big finger, the next to the one that you do the ring, now this is what we call your personality and becomes the dominant personality. Then the rest, which are smaller, becomes the recessive. So you might find yourself, you're phlegmatic, but you have the three personality. You have the sanguine, you have the choleric, and you have the melan. Because you are phlegmatic. What it means, this becomes the dominant. Most of the time, this is who you are, you'll be. But sometimes you are required to be a sanguine. And you'll be a sanguine. Give stories. Do you know, acquire those the skills. They are within you. You have a karum, allows you to be a sanguine, but not for long. That's why you'll meet a sanguine and you can flow, but not for long. That's why you'll get, there is a friend mlikomenda kajani, but along the way you get bored because you find it's opposite of you. So you'll find you have the three which are recessive and you have one which is dominant. So the only thing you know which is your strength, and then the rest which are dominant, or rather recessive. So if I'm a choleric, then I have a phlegmatic, I have a sanguine and melan. There, sometimes I'll behave to be quiet. Sometimes I need to be accommodative. So you can be able to borrow. And I know as we finish next week, I'll be able to deal on how environment and responsibility shapes our personality. Because you'll find you're a choleric, but the environment where you are in will subject you to become a phlegmatic, so that you can be able to accommodate a lot of people, so that you can be able to be independent, to be royal. So there are situations, circumstances, environment, and responsibility. They shape us who we are most of the time. You'll find probably you are phlegmatic and making decision becomes a problem, but you're in the line of becoming a leader. So it requires you have to learn how to make decision. So to answer that question, you have the four. Three are recessive, one is dominant. Now, this is what you need to understand. And I want you to start doing this investigation. If you're choleric, you match very well with a phlegmatic friend. If you're a choleric husband, then most of the time you'll do very well with a phlegmatic wife. Why? Because you'll find the two personality, the strength of one is the weakness of the other. So they are direct opposite. In other words, they can cover. See, a choleric is a go-getter. They don't analyze on the possibility of failing. That's what the phlegmatic will bring. Will tell you, this kind of business, if you do it, I'm telling you, whether you like it or not, you're going to fail. So they will open your eyes to start now calculating your moves. Even if you're not going to follow the actual words, you start calculating the moves and you'll be able to know, I was told, I was warned. So you'll find where there is no patience. Cholerics don't have patience. They want everything have to be done now. Result, we start a project, we start getting profit now. Then a phlegmatic will come and tell you, oh wait, it's not that harsh. It's not that fast. Wait, pole. Things ni pole. Hold on. You're going to kill yourself. Phlegmatic, phlegmatic, they'll show you. It's not just a matter of life and death. Choleric, they know it's life and death. Then they will come and dilute it so that you can become that emotional a bit. You can feel emotional. You can relax. You can take a day off. So they come and complement each other. And the other two personality, they cover one another. A sanguine and melan, they do very well. And I always say this is my parting shot. If parents will take time and be able to tap on the personality of their kids, I'm telling you, we'll take our kids the best careers that can be sustained by their personality. Number two, will also help them to know if they're looking for a life partner, what kind of a partner that can be able to propel them. If you have a choleric and a choleric wife and a choleric husband, what will happen is a family of competition, is a family of independency, is a family of controlling one another, and there is nothing such kind of a life. If you have a phlegmatic and phlegmatic, they will shape people, they will never grow. So you need to know, to help your kids to understand their personality. Even as they're choosing their friend, they know, I need this kind of a friend who is going to cover my weakness. So you cannot have friends who are like you and then you expect to have something different. So the reason why I always say this is a very key, and I want to address, because I know quite a number of my reverends are listening to this. kindly, reverence, if you're listening to me and you're in a place of organizing seminars and workshops, people to be taught about personality, this is not something to ignore. It cut in business, it cut in ministry, it cuts in family. Do you know, you have youths, and help them to understand their personality, that they know when you talk about career choice, it goes with personality. You cannot have your daughter because she scored an A and she's quiet and then tell her go pursue law. She cannot even talk for a minute and you want to win a case. Ulisikia wapi? You have a very good, son who is talkative and they scored an A and you're telling them to go and pursue medical neurosurgeon. When you get into theater, you need to perform a surgery for 2 hours, quiet there. How do you expect someone probably like me to be in a theater for 2 hours and not talk? How? So when we learn about this, it helps, it corrects a lot of mistakes. You do what you love. When we talk about business, remember what we said, passion, interest, it helps you to sustain a business. How do you know your interest and passion? It is birthed out of knowing your personality and your traits. So we cannot assume things and make a difference. So those in a place of authority, if you would be able to organize for such forums where people will be given a time even to understand their personality, a lot of mess will be corrected. I find people pursuing something along the way, they stop it, or probably they quit. Why? Because they feel, I don't have an inner energy to sustain things, because it's contrary with their traits. I find leaders quitting in the midst, and I know because even all the same leaders I'm talking to, they're looking forward to do elections. Even as you get into a place of elections, you need to know you cannot have a chairman when the organization is at crisis and this person is not, a go-getter. How will he motivate people to come out of crisis? How, you're talking about driving a vision and you have a leader who probably is a phlegmatic, sit down, watch things as they happen. So you need to make sure that different seasons require different personality. If you know at this particular moment the organization is a lot of battles, is a lot of wounds, then that moment you don't need a phlegmatic. You don't need a choleric. You need a phlegmatic, someone who can listen to people's pain, someone who can give people hearing. So you need to understand how you pray, along with this personality, so that you get the best from each and every person. So I hope I've communicated tonight and have answered your question. If you still have another question, kindly drop it. Next week, we're going to do the same. We're going to make sure that we're able to tackle the other two personality, and then we'll be able to answer your question. So if you're there and you can be able to drop, someone is telling me, that I should watch and not go beyond a place of preaching. But I'm also a preacher, so I wanted to put it that way so that all of us can be able to understand in a lighter manner. But thank you so much. I want to acknowledge each and every person that came in. I totally agree with each and every person that has given their comment. Today we are very engaging and I like that. God bless you. If you have any question, drop it to us, DM us, and we'll be able to react on it next week. And then from there, the best thing is that when you learn, practice. When you practice, you grow. When you grow, you develop. So don't be stagnant. This is not a feel-good topic. It's a place of reflection. It's a place where you can be able to adjust and change and make sure that you're a better person. So from us, thank you so much. God bless you. Looking forward to seeing you in the same place. And kindly make sure, if you have not shared this link, kindly copy and paste it in your page, in your status, so that we can be able to empower as many people as we can. From us to you, God bless you. Shalom, shalom. See you same place, same time in the Well Show. God bless you.